washing machine, fridge, smart TV, air conditioner, kitchen items amadi makal khudingmakki home appliances kidamak thoina waningai leite. Kaisampat Konjeng Hazari Lekai Dalaiba Mezo of Impalna ahongbo mamalda item khudingmakki up to 50% discount offer tizari. Wedding set unalong matamdasu special oiba discount kayasu hamzari. Interest amatta yaudena 0% EMI loan gi kudong chabasu thamjari. Kudong chabasi mangan biraganu ngasi maklelsin biraku Mezo of Impal Kaisampat Konjeng Hazari Lekai.
Hello and good evening, dear viewers. Welcome to another session of ELITETV Open Debate in English. As today is Monday, we will be conducting our Open Debate in English. I'm Utpala, your host for tonight. Well, what is sexual assault? Sexual assault is an act in which a person intentionally touches another person without that person's consent, or coerces or physically forces a person to engage in a sexual act against their will. It is unlawful to harass a person because of the person's gender. Harassment can include sexual harassment or unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical harassment of a sexual nature. Sexual harassment or abuse is carried out mainly by family members. A common myth is that a child sexual abuser is perpetrated by strangers and pedophiles. But most people who are sexually abused, who abuse children, are our friends, partners, family members, and community members. About 93% of children who are victims of sexual abuse know their abuser. Our topic for tonight is sexual assault against women and children. Joining us tonight, our panelists are Ms. Nonibala Narengbam, Convenor, Wings. Welcome to our open debate, Ms. Narengbam. Our next panelist for tonight, Advocate Maisnam Korouhanba, Executive Director, LHRM. Welcome to our open debate, Advocate Korouhanba.
Thank you.
And last but not the least, our third panelist for tonight is Mr. N. Satyajeet, Bureau Chief, UNI. Welcome to our open debate, Mr. N. Satyajeet. I'd like to welcome our three panelists once again. A warm welcome to ELITETV Open Debate. Let's start the topic for tonight. Let me start with Ms. Nonibala Narengbam. Why is it that crime is always usually targeted, a crime of sexual nature is always usually targeted towards women and children? Why are they like easy target? Is that the reason why it's usually against them?
Thank you, ELITETV, for having me in this group discussion, which is a very important issue today in the context of Manipur.
Right.
Why sexual assault is always targeted to women and children is the concept of patriarchy, because the society that we live in today is like we are living in a patriarchal society. And we also have been cultured, and we were brought up in a culture of feeling that women and children are, sexual commodities. And if the kind of if men wants something to fulfill their desire, it is towards women and children that they look at normally. It's not that sexual assault doesn't happen with other sex as well, but it also happens. But commonly, it is women and children that they are targeted. One factor is that women and children are always. It's our belief that women and children should be under the control of the system of patriarchy. That is the men and the women, and the women and children are also looked as a soft target, like that.
Right.
So women and children are always being targeted because of other factors like hardly we don't complain. Number one.
Right.
Because women and children hardly complain about sexual assault happening in their lifetime. Number one, because why? Because they are afraid of social taboos, social stigma,
Okay.
and that is one. So I think at this juncture, I would say that we are being women and children are the soft target, and that's why it's happening. And also patriarchal society also supports supports and also it it many doesn't also have the complaining knowledge, the complaint knowledge, and yeah, I would put it in that way in the first round.
Okay, thank you for your inputs, Ms. Narengbam. I'll move to our next panelist, Mr. N. Satyajeet. I'll come to the law part of the topic with Advocate Korouhanba. I'll first come to Mr. N. Satyajeet. Well, we're talking about the patriarchal society, and women and children, obviously, as we did discuss, we are usually the soft target. So, and it's usually that the men want to control. But children, as it is, they're under the protection of their parents or guardians or family members. So why is it that minors are also targeted in a society?
Our previous panelist has just spoken about the hierarchy and the social problem children and women face in our society. But the overall situation in India is almost similar. In 2020, there were about 1.3 plus cases of sexual harassment against, especially against children. The basic problem in India is empowerment of women and children. If we do not empower women and children, if they do not know what their rights are, this problem will continue, and the problem will persist for a long time.
Right.
So the basic problem is empowerment, and then the second issue is education. Women and children should be given the correct information about the laws prevailing in this country. There are so many laws, about 10 laws covering the rights of the women, for example, especially for Muslim women, triple talaq, then sexual harassment at public places, then offices, then maternity egg, then pregnancy. There are so many laws. But the problem is people, at the ground level, they are not aware of the laws. So that's why I would rather prefer strengthening on the system of providing knowledge to women and children. And next is counseling. Counseling is very important because, for example, when it comes to children, they will not openly say the problems they will face, because they will be afraid of the people who will be doing it. Because as our previous panelist has just said, and as you have also rightly said, that those who commit such crimes are people the children know very well. They may be their uncle, their relatives, very close ones. So they are afraid to openly complain to their parents also. So open counseling, especially by mothers or fathers who are very close to the children, that should be encouraged to say whatever they want freely without any fear to those who are close to them. And that is the basic issue. This I will say in the first round, because the legal issue we can go to the
Thank you for your views. So we'll come to Advocate Korouhanba. Looking at the law aspect, as Mr. N. Satyajeet just mentioned about educating the people and making them aware about the law, the different kinds of law against sexual assault or harassment. How can we bring that, more openly to the public? What can the law do about the judiciary system? What can they do about it? Is there something that, like an awareness program or something that they can arrange for the general public? Because people are generally not usually aware, and they wouldn't really approach the judiciary system unless it's a very, very serious crime. So mostly they go unreported even. So what can the judiciary system do about this?
Yeah, in this situation in our state, Manipur, the people, they are not being known by the judicial system, because in our state, or not only in our state, it is in the nationwide, sorry, we have been facing a lot of issue and for prevention of this crime against the women and children, and mostly the sexual assault.
Right.
And it is very unfortunate moment in our state, Manipur. The rate of crime against women and children is increasing day by day. So we have to identify the issues and in our state, Manipur, and to resolve this issue, we have to focus in some area and which can be taken up by the legal authority. Say, for example, National Legal Services Authority.
Okay.
And under this authority, we have the Manipur State Legal Services Authority.
Okay.
And in the district level, at the district level, District Legal Services Authority, and in the village level,
okay,
the legal help clinic. So through this channel, we have to impart the education, and we can provide the awareness program through many mediums like TV, discussion, and other print and electronic media.
Okay.
We can take up this awareness program for prevention of this heinous crime against the women and children. So that's why we have to understand the situation firstly, and our learned panelists also spoken about this matter. Patriarchal society, one of the factor, and then lack of awareness and lack of education regarding the sexual assault and the punishment. Like this, we have many important legislations to prevent the crime against the women and children, mainly and against the sexual assault. So we have to give awareness and mass awareness through print and electronic media and other. Say we have to organize the camera meeting in the village level, and we have to make some groups of people. Just like our Madam Nonibala, she is also organizing many people and mobilizing many resources to prevent and to control the crimes against women and children. Mostly, we have to know some legislation which I want to mention in this first round.
Okay.
That is the Protection of Children from Sexual Offense Act 2012. And then the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013. And the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005. Such type of offenses and violences committed by the men have to be prevented by imparting education and taking up the preventive measures before occurring such type of events and incidents. So I want to mention in the first round, so we have to impart the education mostly.
Right.
The sexual assault is one of the serious crime, and it cannot be resolved by only the small section or the say small unilateral section of the society. It should be done by all the sections of the society.
Right. It should start from the grassroots level. People need to be educated.
At the grassroots level and at any level in the judiciary. So in what you asked me that in the judiciary service, I have some experience as a legal practitioner since the last 5 years. I've been facing such type of issues since the last 5 years in the court, and we have to see many cases are pending still in the courts. So the accused persons are being negligent regarding these offenses because we cannot give the proper judgment within the time frame.
Right.
So according to this FOCSO or any other law, we have to give the conviction the person within the time period which is given by the legislation. So it cannot be delivered by the court. This is one of the factors.
What could
and
be
then
the
number two is the investigation part. The police department, it is the implementing agency, and prosecution is very slow in the investigation process because it has many factors. So they will say, the police officers, the IOs will say that we have no any sufficient manpower to investigate the case, and they are also using in the day-to-day law and order situation. So that's why the special investigation team is needed in our state, Manipur.
Okay. So, do we not have one right now, a special investigation team?
Yeah, that's one also. Okay. So for the first round, I may conclude here, and I will share in the next round.
Thank you, Advocate Korouhanba. We'll come back to to Ms. Narengbam. Well, what could be the impact of sexual abuse on women and children? And it does impact even in the development of women and also in the future relationship. So what exactly have you seen? What kind of an impact does it have on these on the victims of abuse, of sexual abuse?
Yeah, I would say it will definitely, sexual violence against children is a very, very serious crime. And also, as we have mentioned in the introductory part, without the consent of the other party,
right,
it's a violence.
Right.
So it's a gross violation of human rights, but it's still a very global reality, right? So I mean, it's happening all over the country, and I mean all over the globe, and right, we all know that every sexual violence is very high in mostly in the third countries, in the third world countries.
Okay.
Children become the end receiver of violence,
right?
Maybe in the form of sexual abuse, maybe in the form of harassment, maybe in the form of sexual exploitation, or even they are being used in the pornography.
Okay.
But Advocate Korouhanba also has just mentioned about POCSO, where pornography also included in that. And it's happening like the sad part and the reality is that this kind of violations are happening mostly in the private spaces,
right?
Like by the person whom they know, by the people whom they know. The most near and dear ones are the people who are being, who are harassing this the children. And also, if we look, also if we look into the kind of violence that women are receiving is also mostly they receive the violence from their near and dear ones, not from the people whom they don't know. I mean, like, violence happens both in private and public space, but private space violence is very, very high in the rate. I would like to highlight a study done by the National Family Health Survey in 2019 and 20, where though the women of Manipur, are being ranked as one of the most strong and one of the most empowered women in the region, or even in the country. Manipur still has the highest number of 39.6% in spousal violence.
Wow.
So whereas in Assam it's only 32%, and in Meghalaya it's only 16%, and in Mizoram it's only 10.9%. Okay, so these are some of the examples, and also we have physical violence where we stand at 2.9%.
Okay.
So so this has been keeping on accepting. We accept it,
right? Because
if something happens in the family, many people feel that, well, it's very natural. It's very natural, and like, when husband and wife fights, and when husband and wife have a very strong arguments, many doesn't intervene or interfere. And when a child is beaten up by the father or by the mother, I mean, this is also part of the violence.
Right.
And but when sexual assault, as I said, this is one of the most heinous crime and the most it's one of the most gross violation of human rights. When sexual assault happens, it's a different issue, because it's completely shattered. Okay, a person's life seems to be completely shattered. Like, if we look into the example of at the moment, if we look into the example of so many sexual assault crimes happening in our state, and which starts from the age of 3 years, which starts from the age of 2 years. Oh, I mean, like we live in a society where a 55-year-old man can rape a child of 5 years or 7 years. So that's the situation, and the future of the children, and it's completely kind of shattered, and it's in a very dark stage. So I think the implications, the reactions, and the kind of the kind of impact that is happening in the survivor's life is completely very pathetic condition. And I think it's very important that we do lots of
counseling.
Family education is very counseling is also important, but family education is very important, as I said in the thing that women are not sex commodities. This has to be given information, this has to be given educated within, which has to be started from the family.
So would these victims be able to lead a normal life ever again, or would this ever, what kind of a life would they lead? I mean, in spite of all the counseling, I'm sure this would leave a very, very deep impact in their lives.
Yeah, if the child, if the survivor is of a young age, slowly she starts, the scars have become, recovered.
Okay.
And see, we have let some of the survivors living into normal life.
Okay.
But like, for instance, if I take in the case of Bilkis Bano at the moment, okay.
Right.
So if justice has been done to her, then it's important that a kind of feeling that, okay, something has been done by the state to get justice for whatever is happening with my life.
Right.
But if suddenly this 11 rapists suddenly gets out of the jail, then, the shattered again happens.
Right.
So justice has to be done, and justice has to be delivered, and a kind of feeling that if the accused, that the accused person is being, getting the kind of punishment that is being written down in the law, that is being written down in the law, then a kind of feeling that, okay, because of my complaint, or because of my, or whatever I spoken out, because of my kind of, journey towards justice, something is happening in my life, and I may be, I will be, benefited out of the counseling. But if the accused person, if the rapist is roaming around nearby me, then any counseling will not work.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's not so easy to work with such kind of counseling when the rapist is roaming around my in my locality.
Right.
So that's the kind of justice that we have to give to the survivors, I would say.
Okay. Thank you for your views. I'll come back to Mr. N. Satyajeet. Well, we just spoke about like the person being we spoke about an aged person, a really aged person committing a crime against a toddler or a minor. Now, is the internet the reason? Is it affecting the moral of the males in the society? Could that be one of the reasons why the internet, why the people are committing such crimes, and what can be done about this?
I would treat this issue in two issues. First is women.
Right.
When it comes to women, we have to understand that women empowerment is very important. I would reaffirm on this because, for example, there are so many women who are not ready to come out in the open. I mean, for example, I know so many women who have been harassed sexually, mentally, physically, by their close ones. It may be any reason, financial reason, and dowry, whatever reason, and they have been harassed. But when we approach them, I mean, when we approach them and request them to do something, I mean, to approach there are so many people to help them, so many societies, so many organizations, police station, women forums to help them, but they are not ready to come out. They say, when we ask them why are not ready to come out, they say that the basic problem is social ostracization. I mean, that's it. When we go out to the society, I mean, people will be asking, I mean, would you have matrimonial discord, or why do you come out? Social ostracization and society is one factor. I mean, women are not ready to come out in the open. I would convey a message to the old women that right to life is more important than having a life, I mean, where they are physically and mentally tortured.
Okay.
And then when coming to children, I would rather say that the victims can be both boys and girls. If you see the Juvenile Justice Act and other legal procedures, we can find that the victims can be both male, boys or girls. So, I mean, children, they have to be treated in a different environment. And so, most important aspect is a police station and the judicial system. It should be women and children friendly. If the judicial system and the police stations are not women and children friendly, then the victims will hesitate them to come to the police station.
Right.
For example, if a rape victim approaches the police station, and if there will be only male, mostly you will find many mostly male police personnel in all the police stations. In fact, the government has started few women police stations, but it is not adequate. We need to have more police stations, and every police station should have women counselor, then children counselor. They should be present at that moment, and they should be ready to help women and children. And the other issue which you referred is, I mean, when it comes to violence, violence has no age, and violence is illegal. We have to convey the message that no physical assault can be done on any individual, women, children. We cannot do any mental or physical harm to women and children. Anybody, even to men also. I mean, that is legally not possible. This message has to be conveyed to each and every one.
Right.
So then the perpetrators, when you said about the aged persons,
right.
perpetrators also, they don't have any age. I mean, it can be children.
Yes.
And if you look at the data, you will find that most of the crimes it has been committed by the juveniles. I mean, there's 18 and below 16. That's why the JJ Act had to be amended also.
Okay.
And then the effect of internet is also so powerful. It's so powerful that especially pornography and other issues have come up. And when it comes to internet and when it comes to mobile, everything is easily accessible to women, children, anybody of every age.
Right.
So this makes people feel that, I mean, it's easy to exploit women also, because in the internet you see everything. I mean, nothing comes in a filtered. So
right.
so we have to check, and we have to remind everybody that there are applications in mobile, parental control, and other apps through which we can check the activities of women, children, and not women, especially children. And so I would say that any crime can be committed by any person at any age. We should be careful of anybody. This has to be conveyed to children. I mean,
right.
the perpetrators, maybe their close ones, their relatives, even their very, very close family members. So that's why I would rather emphasize on the issue that all those, especially police and the legal system, they should be very, very women and children friendly. Otherwise, we will not be able to resolve this issue. And this will rather cause two major crises, that is mental trauma and physical trauma. Physical trauma and physical issues, it can be handled quite easily by doctors and all. But mental trauma is something, mental scar is something which is very difficult to erase, especially girls and women. I mean, they will not be ready to go out. So parents, if they know if they have any problem, they should not hesitate to take their children to a psychiatrist, because there are so many good psychiatrists. They can through proper counseling, their life can be rehabilitated. This I will briefly.
Well, I have another question pertaining to the same thing. We're talking about educating and counseling. Don't you think it would really help if every school had a counselor, as well as the educated children from the youngest, like from the pre-primary level? Shouldn't they be taught? Because I've heard about this thing of, like, you teach young children about good touch and bad touch, and then you also make them aware of the private parts, and they become curious. So that comes, that I think even the schools should have a role in educating children right from the beginning and letting them know what kind of a touch is good, what kind of a touch is bad. What are your views on that?
This is what you are saying is exactly correct. But most of the European countries, especially in England also, they have proper education system where all children, they are, they given proper sex education.
Right.
I mean, what is right, what is wrong also. By giving proper information, children are also empowered.
Right.
I mean, they know if whatever somebody is doing is right or wrong. I mean, so proper education and having a counselor and have a proper sex education at school. This is the prime. This should be the prime focus of the new education policy also, because if the children are not taught to respect themselves,
Absolutely.
if they are not taught to defend themselves,
Right.
then it will be meaningless also. So and the most basic thing is, I mean, we should teach, especially our boys, to respect
Absolutely.
girls. They should be taught to respect girls.
Yes.
Otherwise, and they should be educated, and they should be informed, and they should be informed that under any act, whatever they do, whatever they do any wrong, they have to go to jail. I mean, they should be given the right information in school. I mean, this you have raised the perfect issue. I hope the government does something about it, and it is the need of the hour, I would say. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll move to Advocate Korouhanba. We spoke about, in the previous round, you spoke about cases which are pending, and then people, obviously the victims would want the perpetrators to be punished in the right sense. So isn't there any provision where these cases can be expedited, what are your views about in case of a very, like, let's say a very serious crime like rape? What is your opinion about a chemical castration or a capital punishment? Do you think it should be encouraged so that another person, the next time a person tries or thinks of having of a sexual assault against a woman, the person should have second thoughts? What are your views on that?
Yes, in this view of this punishment, or rigorous punishment has to be given
Right.
to the crime committer. That is the sexual assault or the rape. So we can define many sexual assaults in different form, in different sections of the different legislations. So, for example, in the rape case,
Right.
so under section 376D of the IPC, then we have to punish at least 20 years to life imprisonment, and death sentence has to be
Okay.
given to the offender.
Okay.
So that's why in this point of view, we have been looking as a legal practitioner.
Okay.
If we convict, we give the punishment to that particular person, those who are committing the crime, has to be very maximum level of punishment,
Right.
and conviction has to be given. For example, many persons, those who are having some vested interest and in the judiciary service or any other law enforcement agency, among them, they are trying to get some opportunity during their course of investigation or course of trial, or during that time of investigation, or not only this investigation, but also in the trial also something lacking behind. Then they are taking some, say, accused persons, accused are taking some opportunity to say acquit
Okay.
from the from that trial. So that's why we have to look this as a serious matter, because in the trial different opinions are coming up,
Okay.
and different evidence and different prima facie evidence are coming up from different sections.
Okay.
And then counter and say counter question and counter affidavits are being submitted by different lawyer counsels from the accused person also for saving their life.
But if the medical report says, obviously
yeah,
a medical report
is one of the important.
Right.
This is the number one important. If the incident has occurred, the medical report has to be taken within a very short period of time, because it may be lost the evidence.
Okay.
And not doing by not doing the say medical report by the concerned medical officer. Though IO, so the IO has to be pick up the children or the woman and to check the medical report in the nearest hospital or the referral hospital in this case. So according to that report, the trial will be based on that report. So the report is very important.
Okay, but are there any?
Yes.
Are there any designated hospitals, or they can go to any government hospital or private hospital and get the reports done? Is there some sort of a...
Mostly in our Manipur, the RIMS and Zenims are the designated hospital.
Okay.
And they are providing the reports for the rape victims.
Okay.
And mostly the children are going to the RIMS or Zenims.
Okay.
It is the they are the designated hospital under this act. And moreover, the government has to be established or designate some more hospital also.
Okay, but again, if you're talking about these hospitals, do they first need to go to the police and then lodge an FIR, and then can they go to the hospital, or can they directly go to the hospital and the hospital would contact the police? What is the procedure?
Yeah. The procedure is to be done, started from the police. The police has to be initiated the process first.
Okay.
If the report is submitted by any person, any aggrieved person or any victim or victim relatives, victim families, when that time the police officer has to be lodge the FIR firstly within a very short period of time, no delay. According to this legislation, POCSO or any other rape victims legislations. So the police officer has to be initiated in the very say short period of time, not delaying that time, and report to the concerned medical officer to take the medical report.
Okay, but in case of
sometimes we have been seeing that some IOs are delaying some.
Yes, in this critical time is wasted. But what in case that the victim has been abused over a very long period of time? In that case, what happens? What is the procedure for that?
Well, the procedure is that against the law, the IO is doing. We have to affirm that the police officer, the investigation officer, or any other concerned officer in charge of the concerned police station has to be liable to punish. So that's why the person who is committing the crime has to be acquitted, or has to be saved from the his conviction of the punishment according to this law. So firstly, the police officer has to be reported to the medical officer along with the victim, and as soon as possible, at the earliest time.
I think that's a big flaw in the collection, because ideally the victim should first go to the hospital and the hospital should contact the police. Because
police has to be reported to the hospital.
Okay, so that's I think a pretty
because they have been taking the cognizance, or they have been taking the FIR.
Okay.
So that's why they have to report to the medical officer to take the medical report from the victim person. So that's why the mover is the police officer or IO, investigation officer. So that's why the police station or the IO's role is very important in this
case. Okay, thank you for the information. I'll move to Ms. Narengbam. Ms. Narengbam, well, especially in our state, a woman who has faced domestic violence or sexual abuse or any kind of harassment in her husband's home, in the marital home, when they return home to their parents, they're usually tagged, given names. So maybe that's one of the reasons why women do not report domestic violence. But in your opinion, how soon should a woman report domestic violence or any kind of sexual harassment or abuse happening in the family, and whom can she approach? By how soon, in the sense, the first time she is abused, or maybe wait a couple of times and see if the situation improves? What do you think? What is your opinion on that?
I would say the kind of violence, the degree of violence differs. The degree of violence differs, but however, the low level, the low degree of violence may, may increase to a very high level of high degree of violence. So if a woman feels that something is happening in my life and I feel insecure, right? I feel insecure, then immediately she has to report.
Okay.
She can report to, now we have 181, which is a women helpline number.
Okay.
And there are other NGOs and civil society organizations where women can go to for seeking help.
Okay.
And if a woman is being raped, she can immediately rush to the hospital.
Okay.
She can immediately rush to the hospital, and if the hospital authority, examine and find out that she is being raped, then the hospital authority also can directly contact the police.
Okay.
So I think the reporting has to be very fast.
Okay.
Because what we come across is women doesn't complain much.
Absolutely.
Women doesn't complain much, and
Right.
as far as she can, she subsides and she tries to control all her pain, all her anger, and all her agony. And suddenly when we find her, and when after we find her, saying that the woman has committed suicide, then only JAC is formed, and
Yes.
those are I would say those are very not very useful in giving justice to the women. But so before having kind of this kind of incident, I normally used to tell share the women that we should complain to someone whom we trust and someone to the authority.
Right.
Then secondly, as we have rightly mentioned that women have lots of issues. If a woman already, if a married woman comes back to her parental home, she's not welcome.
Right.
She's not welcome, and because we normally feel that she is not welcome because the parental family also thinks her as a burden. And how long, ultimately a woman ends her life in shelter homes. Okay. So that's the kind of issue that, and also a very important part is women are giving birth to their children, and they don't want to separate their children from their life. And unfortunately, many children are being snatched away from the mother.
The custody.
Children are being snatched away from from the mother by the law, also by the tradition, by the culture. So that's the crux point where women are completely taking all the pain and agony, and just to keep themselves as a caretaker of their children. Taking care of their children is very important for them. So whatever, whether a woman or whether a husband has an extramarital affair with a woman, or the husband continues to continue the physical abuse or whatever it is, he continues to bear it because of her husband, because he doesn't have a proper place to go back.
Right.
Number one. But two, the law, the issue that how long the law will cooperate with me, or how long the law will support with me, is that in spite of having all these, domestic violence, in spite of having all these laws and acts, the most insecure part is how long the law will support me. That's the apprehension that many women have, and that's why many women doesn't report.
But how can we encourage these women to report? Is there...
now we are giving lots of awareness to the women, and I think reporting has increased comparatively 10 years back. The reporting has been increased, and that's why, but still we have a long way to go because there are so many violence happening. As one of our panelists also said about our mental setup, our mental pressure. So we have so many unaddressed psychological trauma, unaddressed psychological issues happening with the women and children. So we still have a long way to go, but I think the reporting has been increased, and we continue to support, we continue to encourage women to report.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the information. We'll move to the next round. Well, I'm sorry. We'll continue with the round. I'll come to panelist Mr. N. Satyajeet. Mrs. N. Satyajeet, you must have heard about the anticipatory bail that was granted to the old man who assaulted, the assault accuser, to a woman who was wearing provocative clothes in Kerala. The judgment gave, the court gave him anticipatory bail. So this is a form of victim blaming. Again, the blame is on the victim who's actually been assaulted. What is your opinion on that? What do you think how can we change this view in the society? Because it's not the clothes, because sometimes a small child that is abused would not be wearing provocative clothes. So it's basically the mindset. So what do you say about this?
The society and the system should object the victimization of victims. That is the priority.
Right.
We should never victimize a victim. That is why the Juvenile Justice Act has been enacted in this country. For example, when we do not protect the victims, the victims they will not be able to come forward. So first is the media, the public, the judiciary, and the police. They should protect the privacy of the victims first. That is the basic priority. I mean, because they feel ashamed. I mean, people feel ashamed when their identities are revealed. So the basic issue is victimization of victims should stop. Next is the privacy and secrecy of the victims should always be respected, and it should always be protected. For example, in the media, we have strict regulations that names of victims should never be published, even their address, even their age. I mean, in the indication that their identity will be revealed. So even under the JJ Act, and even if the media publishes it, the owner and the reporter, they may be jailed for even 6 years, and they may be fined. I mean, so this clause has been included to protect the privacy of girls, children, boys, whoever they are, all the victims. And when it comes to victimization of victims, in India, as it is a patriarchal society, when any incident happens, there's a tendency to blame the victims also. I mean, if any incident happened, then when it says at 10 p.m. a girl was there, for example, then if somebody asks, if the police asks, what were you doing at 10 p.m. at night? That is the wrong question.
Right.
I mean, that should not be encouraged, and that should never be asked. And if any policeman or if any person asks that question, I mean, that should be immediately informed to the judge or to a concerned person, so that such a question should not be asked. And then there are certain ways, as you said, that what clothes were wearing at that particular incident when that accident happened. This is also a wrong question. I mean, so I mean, our judiciary has improved quite a lot, and our judiciary has to do a lot, and we cannot discuss about judiciary matters also, because there may be some issues later if we say something wrong about the judicial process. But there are lots of things that the judiciary should also do, because they should evolve, and they should evolve such a process that the victims are protected and the perpetrators are punished. Giving bail, it is also questionable also, because it encourages the perpetrators also, because they may say that whatever I did was correct. I mean, I can do whatever you like. It empowers the perpetrators, those who commit such violence also.
Right.
So that should be discouraged, and we hope the judiciary would respect the privacy and the secrecy of all the victims. I hope we all have a system that where rights of the child and women are protected, and their all their lives are secured. That is what we pray for. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll move to Advocate Korouhanba. Well, Mr. Satyajeet just spoke about victim protection. So, what are the provisions that the law provides for as victim protection? Does it?
This is very good question and important question also to know by the victim or victim families. So the protection of victim or the prevention of the crime is very important issues in our state, or not only in our state, it also in our nation. So the government of India and government of Manipur has been implementing some protective measures and for recovery the victim in their life and their economic and other damages to recover or to relieve from the victimization of victims. That also, and so we have to know this thing. The victims are victimized. Victims are being victimized, as our panelists said also. This is also good in the media, social media, or nowadays we have been using many social medias and electronic articles, gadgets like that. So we are using such type of media, and that is social media is one of the viral and very fast transmitting information to one place to another. So that's why the identification of the victim should be should not be disclosed to all the media or any other person. When the time of reporting also, the real name of the victim has to be hidden. And say, for example, Thoibi, Chaubi, and many others in our local dialects, we can call their name in our traditional nomenclature instead of the real name, like it.
Is that actually practiced in Manipur?
And then other schemes, government of Manipur is being implemented some scheme. That is the victim compensation scheme. 2019, scheme of victim compensation, 2019. So from the for the rape victim, they are providing 4 lakhs to 8 lakhs as a compensation of the victim. And then for the protection of the children, victim, there has to be kept in the juvenile home. That is not in the jail. And then if the perpetrator is below the age of 16, they will be called as the juvenile. So they are not to be imprisonment in the judicial custody. They are imported in the juvenile home or the observatory home, like this. Then likewise, the women victim, the children victim are not to be open to the people in front of the camera or any other things. So in the quick relief, the immediate needs of the victim has to be provided by the state government, and all the required material has to be provided by the implementing agencies like CWC, Child Welfare Committee, in the district level. In the all district, one Child Welfare Committee and another is the Children say we have the right of, that is the State Commission for Protection of Child Rights.
Okay.
Like that. So we have to inform to them and all the stakeholders, those who are interested in the prevention of this assault or this violence. So they have to do jointly to prevent and protect the victim.
And in case of, in case that the victim, the assaulter has been released, let's say on bail, how is the victim protected from because obviously he might try to, the person or the people might try, the accused people might, or person, they might try to come to the victim and threaten or scare them. So is there any provision to protect them from these people?
It is happening in our state.
Okay.
Say the time lapses for submitting the charge sheet against the accused person. So the 6-month period is the statutory period.
Okay.
Any crime happens, any offense committed by the accused person, against him, the investigating officer has to be submitted the charge sheet within the period of 6 months.
Okay.
If the IO cannot submit the charge sheet in the concerned court, the victim may be released by the court. When that time, it may commit the second or consequent crime against that particular person, and
or another one.
In the delivery of justice also, many, as you mentioned, that treason may be committed again against that particular victim person.
Right.
So that's why for preventing such type of situation and such type of condition happens, we have to look into the matter for submitting the charge sheet within the period of 6 months.
Okay.
So not only submitting that one also, the investigation part and other prosecution part, any other trial part also, we have to complete within the period of time.
What if there's a delay in that?
So not to delay.
Okay.
For the
so what happens in case it is intentionally delayed by the department, the police department?
Something happens inside this judiciary or other prosecution or other investigation part in our state. We cannot say in this
that is
mass media, but we have some experience since the last 7-8 years.
Okay.
So that's why we have to solve out the problem, and we have to solve out the resolution of that particular issues in connection with this trial or in connection of the investigation and regarding such type of offenses committed by the accused person. So, say the prosecution is very important role they have to perform.
Right.
So that's why in our state, unluckily, we don't have the director of prosecution. Is also one of the factors.
Okay.
And then other staffs, the manpower is also something lacking behind.
Okay.
So such type of situation.
So there's always a delay in the
So it creates a delay in the procedure of the legal procedure.
Okay. Thank you. I'll move to the next and the last round. I'll come to Ms. Narengbam. Well, Ms. Narengbam, we spoke about social stigma that the women face when they come back, or let's say even in case of the children, they might not want to expose, saying that the future will be ruined. So what are the steps that we can actually take to encourage people, women, to not get carried away with social stigma, to have the courage to report such incidents? And also, how can we let the women know of their rights as well as child rights? And also, there were incidents where children were sexually assaulted in the school van or bus. How can we prevent those? Ma'am, can you? I think we've lost connection.
Yes, it might be.
Okay, so I think I'll move to Mr. N. Satyajeet.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, well, I had that question for ma'am, but let's say, what was the question I had? Okay. Okay. Well, we did speak about the education, how educating and sensitizing the children and women, how important that is. So, in our state especially, because it's a pretty small state and we do have a lot of awareness campaigns and all that. So, why isn't that such an important topic, which is actually a major problem at the moment faced by the society? Why isn't that this topic is covered to let the people know what's happening? People come to know through maybe through media, through the newspapers, but they're not actually really aware of what can be done, the next step, or whom to approach, the right person to approach. So how can we encourage, how do we change that this situation?
Yes. Education has to be two prongs. One at a community level and one at a school level, curriculum level.
Right.
So the government should just in the curriculum certain system the children.
Mr. N. Satyajeet, I think there's some issue with the internet connection. We'll just wait for a few seconds to see if we can get him back online. Okay, I think I'll move to Advocate. Oh, okay. Mr. N. Satyajeet, can you? Are we
committed on them?
Okay, I think we're getting disconnected. Can we just try? Okay, I think I'll move to Advocate Korouhanba if he's still online. I think we are facing some technical issues at the moment. Okay, well, Advocate Korouhanba, I think we'll move. Let's move to the solution, since this crime is happening all the time. What is a good way to pressurize the judgment, to pass, to give judgment to to expedite the process, rather, to expedite the process of giving punishment to these people, because that would obviously help the victim as well as to prevent any more of these crime happening. And what can you do to these? Let's say even if they get the minimum term that or capital or punishment. So what can be done to such to the assaulters that they're discouraged from doing such acts again in the future?
Yeah, in our democratic country like India, we cannot solve all the problems by the judiciary system only. It has been solved. It has to solve by all the stakeholders.
Okay.
Not only by the judiciary system, it cannot be solved. That's why we have to do some vital role to prevent and protect this such kind of offenses and such kind of crime against the women and children.
Well,
So,
Advocate Korouhanba, I'm
last-
sorry, I'll interrupt you here. Isn't it the reason that because of the slow system in delivering judgment, isn't that one of the reasons why sometimes there's mob justice? So if the judge, if the court...
Very good question you asked to me. People do not have trust to the judiciary service.
Exactly, yes.
In the past some years.
Right.
But nowadays the judgment is delivered by the court within a period of time, very short period of time.
Okay.
And I heard one beautiful judgment under this POCSO Act.
Okay.
It is very funny one.
Okay.
I forget the actual quote, but it is one of the district judges.
Okay.
That is the lady judge. She has given the judgment within 4 days.
Okay, that's
4
excellent.
days. But she has been suspended from the service.
Oh my God.
This is one. She has the tendency to solve the issue within a very short period. This is very historic judgment delivered by her in the court. But the victim has appealed to the High Court and up to the Supreme Court. But that Supreme Court has instructed to the High Court to terminate, to order suspend the judge.
Okay, but was it against the victim?
That one also. So what I am coming to the point that to resolve this issue and to deliver the judgment very quickly and the people to satisfy the people. So if the material facts have to be collected and the evidence has to be collected by the investigation officer, IO, and he has to be submitted the charge sheet against the accused person in the court. This is the first process.
Okay.
After that, the trial should be started within the period of time.
Okay.
And within the short period of time. This is the main issue in our state or in our nation. Delaying submission of charge sheet against the accused person is one of the issue in our country.
Right.
That's why we have to shorten the time period for submitting the charge sheet against that person in the court. After getting the charge sheet, the trial will be very fast.
Okay.
In our state also, we have many fast-track court, special court for the crime against women in our state.
Okay.
In the special court are designated by the government for the POCSO and any other courts.
Okay.
Any other legislation.
So do they have a stipulated time within which they have to pass a judgment?
So we have to do this thing. And from the judiciary also, the judges or the judge has to be proceed very fast in the time, stipulated time given by the legislation. We have to follow the time frame, and we have to see all the required proceeding has to be completed within the given period of time by the legislation. We have to follow this. So that's why the people did not have the trust to the court in the past 1 to 3 decades. Nowadays, in our Manipur also, one of the remarkable judgment has given by the session judge in the POCSO case and other victim, say crime against women cases. 3 cases, death sentence cases has been, judgment has been delivered by the court. In our state Manipur also. So delivered such type of death sentence cases, judgment has been delivered by the court. That's why it is very encouraging. And then the people are also having some trust to the court right now. So they are increasing their tendency to report to the police station or any other hospital, any other social organizations to get their relief. So that's why we have to move forward jointly
Absolutely.
by all the stakeholders.
Right.
Then we have to take up these cases within a period of given period of the legislation.
Okay.
So we have to follow this legislation. Beyond this one, we have many issues in our state Manipur. So the mob lynching or the so-called mob justice has been developed and has been initiated by the people because of they don't have the trust,
right.
full trust to the judgment of the court.
Right.
That's why they cannot tolerate the long proceeding of the court.
Absolutely.
Also,
yes.
so this is the main issue in our state Manipur. So the mob lynching or mob justice.
So every case of sexual assault or such crime does it automatically go to the fast track court?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
does it
Fast
have to be
track court and
appealed?
other-
It does.
Yeah.
Okay, that was very informative. Thank you so much for all the information. We'll come to the end of Mr. N. Satyajeet. Can you hear me now, or are we still? Okay, I think we've lost connection with our two other panelists.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay. So please tell us your views. You were speaking about, and then we lost connection.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Now we can hear you. There still seems to be some sort of some issue. Okay, I think there is some.
I think. Can you hear me?
Oh yes, now we can hear you.
Yes. I'm very sorry for the because there's I had some problem with the connectivity. The line had gone, so I'm now putting. So they had some problem. I'm very sorry for it. I would lastly conclude by saying that women should be empowered. They should be encouraged to go to police station or they should be encouraged to inform their close ones. If they have faced any problem, they should immediately say what their problem is to their close one. Otherwise, they will be having problems later. So this is the main issue, and I hope the government, the people, the society, and the community that the future will be safe. Only we can pray. We can pray for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all the information to all the three panelists.
I will conclude because I am having some problem with the connectivity.
Right. It was a very important and interesting and informative discussion that we had today. So, dear viewers, if you do have any problems, especially the women and children, the women, please do not fear to approach the right department or the right people. There are many NGOs, there are many societies that are there to help you. If you have problems, please do not hesitate. If you're facing any problems in your homes, please do not hesitate to approach the right people. And as Ms. Nonibala also said, there is the number 181. Please do not forget that. You can always contact them and save your life and save the life of your children. Well, we'll come to a conclusion, the end of the show of our session, of this session today, of this open debate. And as Advocate Korouhanba said, you can approach the court. The judiciary system has a fast track court by which you will get your judgment soon. So there's a silver lining behind every cloud. So thank you, dear viewers, for watching our show tonight. Please do not forget to leave your precious feedback and please do let us know if there are any social issues that you'd like us to cover in our show. Thank you all. I'm your host, Utpala, signing off for tonight. See you again next Monday with an exciting topic. Stay safe and have a good night.
Washing machine, fridge, smart TV, air conditioner, kitchen items, amadi makal khudingmakki home appliances kidamang hoina waningai lete. Laisampat Kunjeng Hazari Lekai da leiba Mezo Health Impalna ahongba mamalda item khudingmakki up to 50% discount da offer pizari. Wedding set unalong matamdasu special oiba discount kaya su thamjari. Interest amatta yaudena 0% EMI loan gi kudong chabasu thamjari. Kudong chabasu mangan biraganu ngasi maklengsin biraku Mezo Health Impal Kaisampat Konjen Hazari Laikai.